Good Tuesday afternoon, guys. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to the I Love CVille Show. We're live in Charlottesville, across the Commonwealth, and the world on the I Love CVille Network. Fantastic program lined up with you. 3 absolute heavy hitters on the program. Pete Snyder is going to start us off, guys. The man is running for governor. He's got a small and medium-sized business mindset. This guy is ready to go to bat and be the champion for the Commonwealth of Virginia as we come out of this pandemic. We'll also welcome Jim Hingeley to the program, Albemarle's Commonwealth's attorney. He's about 14 months or so on the job. We'll catch up with Jim and to see how the new position is treating him. And Alex Urpí is going to join us, the ambassador of the Hispanic and Latin community in Charlottesville and across Central Virginia. 110 for Alex Urpí. We'll give love to Ting Fiber Internet for being the presenting sponsor of the I Love CVille Network. Ting Fiber Internet is crazy fast internet. On Skype right now is a man that I think you absolutely should listen to and get to know. Pete Snyder, our guest. Folks, I'm excited about this man's platform and campaign. Good afternoon, Pete. Thank you kindly for joining us.
Jerry, fired up to be with you, my man. Thanks for having me.
Your second rodeo, I think much of Virginia, and then really the country, when you partnered with Dave at Barstool, much of Virginia knows you for being a champion for small and medium-sized business. The Virginia 30-Day Fund was absolutely amazing, what you and your wife did. I loved everything about it. Pete, the show is yours. Why are you running for governor of Virginia?
Well, Jerry, thank you for that. And, I'm running for governor because I love Charlottesville, but I love Virginia as well. And we all do. We truly do. As a small business operator and entrepreneur, Virginia gave birth to the greatest startup in the history of the world, the United States of America, founded by Virginia, by the Virginia company, actually. And, entrepreneurship runs in our blood in Virginia. And I'm running for governor because I love our Commonwealth. And if we're going to be honest, we always have honest conversations, Jerry, on this show. Our leaders over the past 10 years have failed us. They truly have. They've failed us. But worse than failing us, they've embarrassed us. Governor after governor after governor. How many times do we have to be the butt of late night jokes? How many times do we call our relatives in other states and they say, hey, Jerry, what the heck is going on in your home state? Who are these people and what are they doing? It's embarrassing. But worse than that, what we have faced over the past year, hands down, has been the worst crisis that has come our way in Virginia for over 100 years. And our leaders barely did anything to help. Look at our governor. Testing in the early days, we were near bottom of the barrel in testing. The shutdowns and executive orders that were done with ham-handed precision stomped out small business owners all across Virginia. So many. The carnage was horrible right here in Charlottesville, Jerry. You and your listeners and viewers know that. And all across the Commonwealth and really all across America. But if you look also, we're 50 out of 50 in the administration of this vaccine. We're in last place. That's insane. That is crazy. And nearly a year into this pandemic, our schools are still closed. Teachers that want to get back doing the job they love in the classroom are being blocked. So are our students. Joe Biden's very own CDC task force says it's perfectly safe. The coronavirus task force of Biden and the CDC both say it's perfectly safe. Follow the science. Let's open up our schools. So I'm running for governor because we're in a horrible mess right now. The career politicians haven't gotten the job done. I'm from the private sector. I'm innovative. We are going to get Virginia out of this mess and get us on the right path, and we're going to do it today.
I see the hashtag behind you, Open Our Schools. Obviously a critical component of your platform. Give us some other insights into the components that make up this platform. We're all listening. You got 4 states watching you, Northern Virginia, Southwest Virginia, Richmond, and a lot of Central Virginia here.
Well, Jerry, in a crisis, we're going to keep the main thing the main thing. When times are good, you could make 200 campaign promises and 40 different platforms. Forget all of that. We're in a horrible mess. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up our schools. We have a generation of kids that are falling behind. Fs have gone up by 50%. Teen suicide and drug and alcohol abuse among teens through the roof right now. We need to fix that. And also it puts our parents in an impossible situation. They're working a job from home and having to hover over 3 kids and 3 Zooms for 8 hours and be educator in chief. It doesn't work. Secondly, we're going to do what we led with right here in Charlottesville with Virginia 30-Day Fund. We are going to save the backbone of our economy and the lifeblood of our community in small business. And we're going to do that on a grand scale. And then lastly, and most importantly, we have seen over the past year our rights trampled on by government. Through this pandemic, what you can do, what you can't do. We're told that we can't go to Christmas services on Christmas Eve because evidently the coronavirus is stronger after midnight. It's all garbage. We have a cancel culture that is being encouraged to broadcast and say what you want to hundreds of thousands of listeners and viewers out there. And my right to. It's wrong.
I'm impressed with your background as a businessman. And when you're a CEO, you've been a CEO, you're a board member, you're a decision maker, you're able to go into a room and say, this is the path we're going to take. People follow quickly. We know in business you can pivot, you can move, you can make innovation, and you can do it on a drop of a dime if you need to. That mindset, I embody that mindset as well. How is that mindset going to adapt with government that's certainly not moving at the speed of small and medium-sized business? How are you going to adapt with that?
Hey, Jerry, you are an entrepreneur's entrepreneur. There's no question of that. You know what? They're going to have to adapt. That's just simply it. We are in horrific times right now. Government isn't moving quickly enough. They're focused on the absolute wrong things. I mean, think about that. We're in the home court of Thomas Jefferson, right? And our health district, okay? The governor and his minions time and money to do meetings and proposals and marketing to change the name of our health district from Thomas Jefferson to Blue Ridge in the middle of a pandemic when they didn't even have a plan to distribute vaccine. Those are mind-blowing, wasteful priorities. We're going to get in there and have a business-like mentality to it, encourage others to participate, and innovate. We need to modernize government, and we can get the job done. Away, my man.
Pete Snyder, our guest, guys, who's running for government. I see the running for governor of Virginia, excuse me. I see the Roanoke Times watching the show as we speak. Questions coming in. This one's coming in from Mark Monk, who says he's watching outside Martinsville. He says, Jerry, I try to watch your show as much as possible. This is an interesting interview. If you don't mind, ask Mr. Snyder what his thoughts are on the legalization of gambling. It's big here in southwestern Virginia with 2 casinos trying to join us. Me personally, I think it's going to be good for our economy. We need it in this part of Virginia. Good question right there from outside Martinsville for you, Pete.
Sure. There's a referendum in southwest Virginia that passed overwhelmingly this past year. That's something I tend to side on the pro-freedom.
I'm the same. I feel the same right there. Pete Snyder, our guest, guys, running for governor, certainly a libertarian streak I have as well. Judah, you're saying it's looking good over there?
I'm not hearing anything from it.
All right, Pete, you're a little frozen right now. I'm hearing from our director, Judah, on the screen. I'm going to ring you back because I got more questions coming in, including questions now from the Richmond Times-Dispatch. I'm going to call Pete back here and see if we can get him back on the line, Judah, on the show. This guy, I really appreciate his straightforwardness. Don't you, Judah? Pete Snyder running for governor. We're going to see if we can get him back on here. If you have questions for the governor, put them in the feed. Or the governor that is campaigning for governor, please put it in the feed. I think this guy has, I'm really impressed with his mindset, the libertarian mindset. If you watch this program, you know also that I have that libertarian mindset as well. he's coming into this race certainly with a background of small and medium-sized business. So a small and medium-sized business background I really love. Pete, I'm restarting Skype here to see if I can get you back on the line and see if we can get you on the show. All right, it's ringing. Let's see if we can get him. Jim Hingeley, we got you coming up here in a matter of moments. All right, we got you back. Pete, let's see here. If we can get you to activate. There we go. All right, so Pete, fantastic. Question coming in from the Roanoke Times. Roanoke Times here.
Roanoke Times?
Yeah, so they want to know your take on cannabis and where it's going to go with cannabis moving forward. That's a good question. Certainly in the news cycle, we know the current governor is trying to get this legalized sooner than later. What's your take on cannabis, Pete?
Look, I think we'll have to see what happens in the clearly the governor thinks he has the votes, so we shall wait and see.
Interesting. Give us the background of how you formed the partnership with the Barstool Fund. That question just came on the feed.
Absolutely. Well, look, I've been a stoolie for a while and watching the great things that Dave and Erica have been doing with Barstool over the years. In fact, they come from my hometown. I was born and raised in Reading, Pennsylvania. So Penn National comes from my neck of the woods originally. But look, Dave has been, I think I've been a strong advocate for the plight of small business owners. So have you, Jerry. No one's been doing it better than Dave, I think, as far as articulating the true pain of how unseen and unheard these folks feel. So he was on Tucker Carlson right before Christmas and said, hey, look, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And he did so, said he's going to start a fund, got flooded with money, flooded with applications. Within 12 hours, we got a call from their parent company and said, hey, look, we love what you guys are doing. We think you're doing it better than anyone else in America. How about partnering with us? And it has been gangbusters ever since. We've raised $40 million to help small businesses all across America. And I just can't say enough about Dave and Erica Nardini, the CEO over there. They're just great partners and true believers in making sure that we can help save that backbone of our economy, which is small business.
More questions coming in. A couple more minutes with Pete Snyder, who's running for governor. This is from Grayson, who's watching in Williamsburg. And Grayson says he loved your take on getting the kids back in schools. And Grayson's asking this question: why aren't our kids in the school now? What is Pete's answer on that? Grayson wants to know.
Grayson, you're from my second hometown in Williamsburg, Virginia. I'm a proud alum. Go Tribe of William and Mary. But I got to tell you, it puzzles me. I don't know why. What I do know is that the Teachers Association / Union is holding the keys to the kingdom. The vast majority, 70% plus of teachers, actually want to be back in the classroom teaching. They didn't do their profession so they could be IT administrators. It's not working. We're losing a generation of kids. And unfortunately, you have, Governor Northam, Terry McAuliffe, and all of the candidates running for governor as Democrats. They refuse to stand up to the teachers unions and the Teachers Association. I hope they had the courage that Chap Peterson, Democrat from Fairfax County, does, in saying, this is ridiculous. We need to open up our schools. Joe Morrissey, a Democratic senator in Petersburg area, said the same thing. Bipartisan support for this, but we're gonna bring the fight to that union. Of all things, later on tonight, I'm going to Loudoun County. They have a school board meeting. Some of you may have seen a parent by the name of Brandon went viral at their meeting last week. He was so incensed and upset about what this is doing to our kids. So we're going to be out there encouraging the school board members to do the right thing and open up our schools again. We need to do it in Williamsburg and James City County as well.
2 questions left for you, Pete. Thank you for the time. Terry Lawson is watching outside Bristol. Jerry, thank you for this show, and thank you for having Mr. Snyder on the program. Can you ask him his thoughts on getting internet all over Virginia? Our families are struggling right now having to go to hotspots to get the curriculum for our kids to learn because we don't have reliable internet at home. I love this. I've said on this show so many times, reliable internet in 2021, certainly on the heels of COVID, is like a public utility. I mean, it's like running water.
Jerry, I can't believe that this is 2021 and we're still talking about this. I mean, if I were in a time machine and I was doing your show in 2002, I would say, okay, that's, that might be a weighty topic of the day. I can't believe that the career politicians in Richmond don't have this figured out. We're going to figure it out when, as governor, and I was in Roanoke not too long ago, and also in Bristol about a week ago, and I asked a lot of the leaders in the community, how do we get this done? What does it cost? We need to work together, state government, private sector, and nonprofit sector, a place that I now know a lot about. If you told me in 2019 that I would be running a nonprofit for the vast majority of 2020, I would have said you're crazy. But we need to bring all of the resources together, solve this problem so that our kids could actually learn, so that if we have a crisis in the future, there aren't haves and have-nots. We need to fix
Last question. Daily
to
Press is watching you. The Roanoke Times is still watching you. I see Virginia Beach on the line. Jim Hingeley, Albemarle Commonwealth's attorney, is next, guys. Why should people vote for Pete Snyder?
Like the way things are going in Richmond, if you think that government has served you well during this crisis, I am for you. But if you think we could do better, if you think that you deserve better and your kids deserve better and we need our schools open, we need to make sure that our small businesses can freedom of religion. If you believe in that, I'm going to be a great change agent for you. I will work my tail off. I am not a perfect human being. I have plenty of flaws, but guess what? I hustle, I can innovate, and I can help solve and get Virginia out of this mess. Jerry, you having me on today.
You earned my vote. Today, I swear to God, today in this conversation, I was already leaning your way because of the libertarian small and medium-sized business mindset, and I know you're a huge champion for this. Dude, you just freaking crushed this interview. Pete Snyder, I'm saying it right now, Pete Snyder just got my freaking vote. I'm going to vote for this man for governor. Hey, I wish you the best. Anytime you ever want to come on this show, I sincerely mean this, we will change the schedule and roll out the red carpet for you, Pete.
Jerry, I love you, brother. Thanks for all that you do. Thanks for using your powerful platform to tell the stories of people who need help out there, talk about their plight. We're gonna change Virginia together, brother. Okay?
I love it. Good luck.
All right. Thank you, man.
You have a good one, Pete.
That's all.
Thank you. Pete Snyder, Bob Shada, welcome to the broadcast. Folks, is that your next Virginia governor right there? Is that your next Virginia governor right there? We'll see. That guy earned my vote. That guy has my vote right there. That guy has my vote. Questions, comments, concerns, put them in the feed. I love when folks outside Central Virginia contribute to this broadcast. Still to come on the show, Alex Urpí. Now I am reaching out to Jim Hingeley, Albemarle Commonwealth's attorney. Judah, let's get his photo on screen. And I'm putting it on speaker here on my phone. Hey, Jim. How are you? It's Jerry Miller.
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Well, happy to be here.
So, not that you're counting here, are you about, 14 months on the job now?
That's about right. I'm into the 14th month. February is that.
How's it going, Jim? How's the first 14 months?
Well, the first 14 months have been very challenging, particularly because of the COVID crisis.
How does COVID make the position of Albemarle Commonwealth's attorney more challenging?
Well, several ways. First of all, we had our courts closed for a period of time due to the pandemic. And so we have to manage prosecutions that are being deferred along with new prosecutions that are coming in the door. So it creates quite a backup, and managing that and effectively prosecuting is a challenge. Another challenge that we have because of the pandemic is the risks to the community that we have from the possibility that people in the jail could get sick. And so we, and I say we, prefer Wells attorney in Charlottesville, Joe Platania, we felt that we needed to use different strategies to reduce the population at the jail. That's really two reasons for that. One is reduce the population means we reduce the risk of disease transmission because fewer people are there. And the other is if we do have an outbreak, if we have reduced the population of the jail, we have more room for people to spread out. So that became a very important priority for the Commonwealth's attorney in the city and myself in the county, along with the jail superintendent.
So Joe is going to come on the show next week, who Jim is referencing. He's going to join us next week. Jim, how long have you been practicing law?
Going on 45 years.
How would you characterize this past year of practicing law during a pandemic in relation to the 4 decades plus of experience you have from a degree of difficulty standpoint?
Well, it certainly has a layer of difficulty, and it's something that I guess you don't learn about this in law school.
Right, I was going to say, is there any class in law school about pandemics that mankind haven't seen since the 1918 Spanish flu?
Yeah, I think this just didn't make the cut for law school classes. But yeah, I mean, as I said, I mean there are a lot of complications that come from this, and one of them is managing a caseload that isn't proceeding in the normal way. Another is what I've referred to about the jail problems at the jail, and then just the manner of proceeding. I mean, we are experimenting with all sorts of devices to limit. Our office, for example, is closed, as are many offices. All the county offices are closed. And so we're exploring electronic alternatives. And those apply to meetings. They apply to actual court proceedings that we can do virtually. They apply to transmission of documents, so you don't have hand-to-hand transmission and having to sign. So there are all sorts of techniques that we've had to develop and use effectively to protect ourselves and to protect ultimately the community from disease transmission. So that's another factor.
You know, I was thinking about this last week. So I'm an entrepreneur, Jim. I'm going to throw this topic to you. COVID-19 has changed so many industries and potentially for good. Take real estate. Before COVID, there was an agent who would sit in a house for a day and host an open house and hope some real estate agents would bring their clients in to tour the property. Now these open houses are being done virtually with the same agent doing a walkthrough with the video camera and then giving the open house in a virtual tour for them, basically saving them a course of a day of sitting in a chair hoping people would come into the house for the tour. The open house may be gone forever with real estate because of the innovations that have happened during COVID. Let me throw that topic to you. Which innovations that were necessary to survive, the law and the court system to survive during COVID, which ones do you think are going to live forever and not go back to how it was?
Well, a couple come to mind. First, all lawyers are required to do periodic training. Continuing legal education, it's called. We have to update our education every year in order to maintain our law licenses. So training has typically been done in person. And the Commonwealth's attorneys, for example, have 2 trainings a year which are done in person. And that requires, obviously, we all go to a central location. We're all there. We have night in a hotel. We have transportation, all of those things. Which make for a good experience. I think personal learning is excellent. However, in this environment, we have conducted those trainings virtually. And I think that's going to be something that we're going to see sustained as we go forward, because it has, while you miss the personal interaction, you still have the substance of the training that you're able to participate in with a lot less inconvenience and expense in terms of travel, staying over, and so on. So that's one thing that I think that we may see continue after this is over. The other thing is that we have developed the ability to have witnesses appear in court virtually. And I think maybe somewhat of the same convenience argument may apply to that. We have witnesses that have to come from a long distance. Sometimes we have witnesses that have to come from out of state. And of course, that's impossible in this current environment. Even if the courts are open, people can't travel. Travel restrictions and all of that. So we have gone a long way to presenting witnesses by video technology. And that's something that I think going forward we're going to see more of because it really works, and it makes it possible sometimes for people to come and be witnesses when it'd be very, very difficult for them to do otherwise if it had to be in person. This way they have the virtual alternative.
Just a great guy on the line, guys. Jim Hingeley, Albemarle Commonwealth's attorney, friendly guy. Love seeing this guy walking around downtown, always saying hello to people. This is a layman's question. I don't have the answer. It may be a dumb question, but I don't know the answer, so I'm going to ask it anyway. Does the COVID-19 budget deficits that's impacting municipalities like Charlottesville and Albemarle, do those deficits at all impact what you guys do as Commonwealth's attorney's office, Jim?
Well, up to this point, we have not been affected. Now, we certainly were affected because as local government employees, we did not get the raise that had been planned for. So compensation is an issue. So that's one thing. The other thing is that, we've had a freeze on filling vacant positions. This is part of Albemarle County's strategy for making ends meet in a time when revenues are down. And so, to the extent that we've had any vacancies, and we've had one or two, we've had to make a case for an exception to that prohibition on filling vacant positions, and so it means that you have to argue. And of course, in our case, our workload has really gone up rather than down because of COVID, just because of the way it's affected us. So that's another way that the budget deficit has come into play, but I'll say fortunately for us, and I'm grateful to Albemarle County that they have not they have allowed us to fill any vacant positions that we've had.
What do you think, what's your crystal ball for 2021 and 2022? And it doesn't have to be law, it doesn't have to be legal commentary, just man to man here. I mean, from my standpoint, and I openly say this on the show, as soon as my turn to get the vaccine, Jim, I'm going to get the vaccine. We have consumer confidence issues. Clearly, the consumer confidence issues are showing from a lack of inventory on the real estate market, with people hesitant to have strangers walk through their home, which they know is a part of the selling process. We have a consumer confidence issue with retail and restaurants and events and hospitality and live music, which are critical components of the Charlottesville and Central Virginia economies, which we both know. I mean, just like guy to guy here, man to man, what's your crystal ball saying for this year and maybe even 2022 for us as Charlottesvillians and Central Virginians, Jim?
Oh, well, I'm afraid that I'm not a good prognosticator, and I appreciate all that you've said, and I think you're exactly right. My hope is that we're going to come out of this, and we're going to get our economy going back, and we're going to get our life back. I mean, the economy is really important, but it's the personal contact. It's the things that we do every day in our families and in our community that we've been deprived of because of this. It's going to be. I'm looking forward to it. But may I elaborate on a legal thing? Because
sure.
I think this. Yeah, when I ran for Commonwealth's attorney, I ran on a campaign saying that we do a lot of things in criminal justice wrong, and one of the things that we do wrong is we use jail as a first response rather than a last resort. And I argued that we should use jail and prisons less, we should use community alternatives more, and that sort of thing. And so one outcome of the COVID crisis has been, as I explained earlier, that we've worked hard to reduce the population at the jail, and we've used a lot of the strategies that I advocated for in my campaign. And so what I see going forward is that these strategies have been proved in the crisis. They've been proved because we had a public health emergency that really required our attention on reducing the jail population. But once these are the strategies, these are the things that we need to do as alternatives to jail and prison that I campaigned on and that I see in the future that we are going to continue doing, and I think the community is going to support us in that. So I'm not happy at all that we've had to do this in this crisis, but I am looking for something positive out of it, and I think the positive is that we are going to see that these ideas are going to be accepted more and more because they've been applied during the crisis.
Agreed. Close on this. Jim Hingeley, Albemarle, Commonwealth's attorney, our guest here on the I Love CVille Show. Give us some insight into your quarantine. Give us some insight into some of the things you've missed. You know what I miss, Jim? I miss seeing my dad. He's up there in age, and we haven't seen each other in person outside of FaceTime with my kid and my wife and my mom and my father. I miss seeing my dad. I miss bellying up to a bar and having a cold beverage during happy hour with friends. How about you? What do you miss? And maybe some insight into what you did from a quarantine standpoint to maintain some sanity and some positivity, like we're all trying to do, right?
Well, I'm with you on the family connections and the loss of connections. For you, it was a grandparent. For me, it was grandchildren. I have 5 grandchildren, all live in Charlottesville, and I saw them regularly and loved them, and this has made it impossible to do that. We adapt somewhat by seeing each other outside in distance, but with the cold weather, that makes it very difficult. So, loss of that personal, close connection to family members is just something that's a terrible loss. I do enjoy Charlottesville. I do enjoy the amenities, eating restaurants, having drinks in bars with friends, and that's all been impossible. So those are. I'm kind of with you on what has been lost and what I hope to regain when this is all over.
Hey, I hope one day we all get to see each other, even if just in passing, inside one of those places again. And I know it's going to happen. I just hope it's sooner than later. And Jim, I'm extremely grateful for your time, your straightforwardness. I think one of the things that makes you really good at what you do is you're a likable guy. People like to be around you. You're a likable guy. And I saw that during your campaign. You're relatable. You're approachable. You're likable, and that's just who you are as a person. I'm grateful for your time, and thank you for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, and I appreciate your comments. Thanks again.
All right, you have a good one.
You too.
Alex Urpí is around the corner, Judah Wickower. We'll get Alex on the line here in a matter of moments. Another heavy hitter coming up. First, we started the program with Pete Snyder, who's running for governor. I very much encourage you guys to check out his platform and what he stands for. And we have Albemarle Commonwealth's attorney Jim Hingeley on the line. In 3 minutes, we're going to have Alex Urpí, the co-host, the co-star of Today y Mañana, which airs Thursdays at 10:15 on the I Love CVille Network, a show on this network that spotlights and champions the Hispanic and Latino community here in Charlottesville and across Central Virginia. Alex will join us in about 2 minutes on the program. Still to come on the show after the interview with Alex, I want to highlight Harrison Keevil's Ghost Kitchen concept. Harrison Keevil, the chef, his wife Jennifer, their family business. You know them from Keevil and Keevil over there on Avon. Their kitchen, their Keevil and Keevil breakfast, lunch. You can buy some, just a fantastic little restaurant spot in Belmont. Well, he's launched a digital food hall with 4 ghost kitchen concepts, 4 different brands, a digital food hall that he's operating out of Keevil and Keevil. I'm going to highlight that on the show. We'll highlight the CAAR Q4 report on the show today. I'm going to ask you this question. Is the University of Virginia men's basketball team a Final Four caliber team? Legit question. If you look at the schedule, you see the Wahoos have beaten one good team, and that's Georgia Tech. That loss to Virginia Tech over the weekend really stung. Now the Wahoos 14 in the AP poll, 15 in the coaches poll. Are they a legitimate Final Four team? Before we get to those topics and questions, we need to welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Alex Urpí, to the show. Judah, I have Alex on the line now. This gentleman, the co-star of Today y Mañana. Alex, ¿qué pasa? How are you?
Oh, how about you?
I'm doing well. So we have a man who's running for governor, and Pete Snyder. We have Albemarle Commonwealth's attorney, and Jim Hingeley. And now we have the star of all stars, Alex Urpí, on the line from Today y Mañana. My friend, how was the weekend? Who are we spotlighting? Who are we highlighting? What's new in your life?
It was a snowy weekend, I have to say. I was very happy to be inside. I had some friends that wanted to go sledding, that they went outside. I'm like, no, thank you. I will stay inside with my hot chocolate, with my rum, and we will enjoy that.
Said like a Cubano here. So how does the Cubano? Alex is a fabulous Cubano, man. How does a Cubano celebrate a snowstorm? He stays inside by the fireplace?
Yeah, he stays inside by the fireplace with a good book. And, of course, he has hot chocolate with rum in it. Sometimes, there can be just the rum, but I usually mix a little hot chocolate with it.
Oh, that sounds delicious. What's the rum of choice for you?
Bacardi.
Oh, nice.
Is what we usually go for. There was, I have to say, one time we did manage to find in Canada, because up there they don't have embargo, in Niagara Falls, in one of those duty-free places, and one that was actually still made in Cuba.
Really?
Bacardi is Cuban family, but they fled, and now they're in Puerto Rico. They make the rum. But that one was also, if you can find one made in Cuba still, it's very good stuff.
I didn't know that. I didn't know Bacardi started in Cuba.
Yeah, they were originally from Santiago de Cuba.
Interesting. Alex dropping knowledge bombs today on the show. What is the beverage of choice and the cocktail of choice? Is it do you go mojito?
Oh, so my brother actually, he makes excellent mojitos.
Wait, which brother? Which brother?
The youngest brother.
Okay. Because I'm starting to know your family now. I haven't met your brothers, but I'm hearing stories from you and Xavier. You have a close-knit family. I'm starting to I'm starting to recognize the names and their personalities by your stories.
Yep. And so we all actually work for Emergent, all the brothers. And so sometimes I joke, for those who have read Lemony Snicket, that there's one brother in me that has a hair and a beard. There's one brother with hair and no beard, and there's one brother with a beard but no hair, from the series of unfortunate events. But Michael is the one with hair but no beard. Okay. And he makes mojitos. We love his pina coladas, and then Cuba Libres.
Oh, I love Cuba Libres.
It's both delicious and a statement.
Dude, you know who the best Cuba Libre I've had in Charlottesville? You know where it was from? It was from Guajiros.
Guajiros, I have to have one there then.
Oh my gosh, Alex, it is so good. Harvey, the older brother at Guajiros, he's a master mixologist. And his Cuba Libre is amazing.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know, to be honest, I didn't know they did the mixed drinks. I have to go back there now and say I want a Cuba Libre with my Cuban sandwich.
And they're at the old Parallel 38 spot next to Continental Divide on West Main.
I love their new location. I happened to be there. I think it was last week. I had it was in the afternoon. And I couldn't resist. First off, it's the best cafe con leche.
It's so good.
But you need to say when Danilo or Harvey asked you, do you want us to do the sugar for you? The answer has to be yes. You can't put your own sugar. You have because in Cuba you don't put your own sugar. They put the sugar.
They go heavy sugar on that cafe con leche.
That's why it's so good.
That's why
That's why
it's
it's
so
the best
good.
cafe con leche. But their cafe con leche with the beignets, with the guava inside.
You had that
So
last
good.
week at Guajiros?
I think it was either last week or the week before I was there, and I couldn't resist when he said, "What do you want?" I said I needed something sweet with my cafe con leche, and he said, "We have the beignets with the guava," and I'm like, "Of course."
Done.
Well-
My friend, keep talking to us here. First, we want to know what's going on with Today y Mañana for Thursday. Give us the Cliff Notes version.
So we've got on Thursday, whole show, we've got Cristel Knoll. And she's been my vice president of Ford Adelante for some years now. She's a State Farm agent in like Chesterfield, Henrico County area. She's from Charlottesville. She sort of went through State Farm here and now has her own agency out there. And it's funny, all week I've been promoting her because I had my 2019 numbers for her that she was in top 50 new agents. And she tells me, I think over the weekend, she messaged me and she said, "You can now add top 10 new agents for 2020.
Wow.
Top 10 in new agents for the year 2020. She's fantastic.
In
She's
America.
really, yes.
Okay, so this is a big deal. The guest they have on Thursday, top 10 State Farm new agents in the country. I mean, that's huge, right?
Oh, it's enormous. And she has one of the, just to give you an example, she won like a Premier Agent Award. And I think that's given out to about 100 agents a year. There are 19,000 State Farm agencies. So she's like she has an award for 2020 that they give out to 100 out of 19,000
That's legit.
agencies nationwide. And she does it the same way there as she was doing it here. I mean, there's no one who has the better ear to the ground of like the Latino community. I mean, when she was here, my vice president in person, it was always whenever I wanted to find new Latino business owners and meet them. It was always, "Cristel, what do you know? Who should I get in touch with? Who should I be talking to?" Because she really cares about people and works with them, and she just has so much insight. 'Cause, I mean, talk about she's originally from Puebla in Mexico, came here, all these different jobs, and we'll talk about it a little bit on the show. I know she worked at Disney for a while. Then she got into State Farm, into the insurance industry. We had her profiled at a Ford Adelante magazine. This must have been 7 or 8 years ago. And in this magazine profile, there's Cristel talking with Olga of her dream of being like her own agent, her own State Farm agent. And then now just to see it happen. And she gets the agency, I think in 2018, 2019 she started, and now, bam, top 10 new agents. It's not surprising, but it's amazing and inspirational for me.
That is amazing. Thursday at 10:15 a.m., Today y Mañana on the I Love CVille Network, presented by Emergent Financial Services, his family business. My friend, I'm looking forward to Thursday's interview. Anybody else you want to highlight today on the show?
So she's there. I'm also going to highlight, I can already give you a little bit for next week's show also.
Ooh.
We're going to have, in part, we're still working on getting a bunch of guests for you, in part, Fernando Faircuts Dare. So, no House of Cuts.
House of Cuts?
House of Cuts on the
Is he going to
corner.
come in, or is it going to be via Skype?
We're working on it. We'll figure out which one he prefers. I'm hoping in person, but if we got him by Skype, that'll also be fantastic. But
Dude,
he's
he's amazing. Have you noticed that Fernando is starting to host stock trading seminars? And like he's hosting like other barbers to give so he's using his barbershop as this epicenter of knowledge, not just to go in there and get your hair cut and look good, but he's using it as kind of like the water cooler of knowledge to empower the community. It's brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and he's always been from the whole time I've known him, he's always been really interested in investing and in thinking towards that mañana piece of Today y Mañana, and really how can I do it, but also how can I do it as the average investor. I think he really cares a lot about what can the average person get involved in a stock market that a lot of times for a lot of people feels like it's just a game for those big millionaire accredited investors. And he's always about showing people that it's no, it's for the individual too. You just got to be smart in how you navigate it and how you understand how it works.
You're talking about the retail investor. And speaking of the retail investor, what did you make about all this short squeeze GameStop scenario? I mean, GameStop is dropping significantly now. We all knew it was going to eventually happen. I mean, we're talking about a stock that probably has a value of like $17 a share that's trading at astronomical levels because of a forum on Reddit that has 9 million subscribers are driving the price of this stock up. What'd you make of that week of GameStop being in the news cycle nonstop?
I've never seen anything like it, and I'm going to be honest, I sort of compare it to, if you think of Wall Street like a casino, and for certain individual stocks, it can be, depending on how these do. If you think of Wall Street like a casino, the casino, a lot of times, the house is very happy to have you play as the small guy until you start winning too much. And then the house says, I got to stop this, and kick you out.
And you're saying that's what Robinhood did?
I feel like that's what they did. And granted, they have it's in their contract, it stipulates it. But this is always, and I try to warn people because a lot of people would come to me when a lot of these big brokerages started cutting commissions to zero. And I kept warning people I know and retail investors, look, there is no such thing as zero cost investing. So if Robinhood and Schwab and Fidelity and all these companies are charging you $0 commissions, it means they are making money off you in another way. And in the case of Robinhood, they often do it with margin. They encourage you to get margin accounts. That's how that was that tragedy last year of the young man who found himself $700,000 committed suicide when he found himself $700,000 in debt because he didn't understand how margin works. And this is just another example. I mean, the funding chain, somewhere along the line, Robinhood said this can't happen. Got to cut this off and stop this from happening. And it's a bit of a shame because as someone who I believe in investing for clients and for myself out of an optimism for the future of America. In other words, I look long term and I say I have faith in the American people and in the growth of this country. I therefore want to participate in that growth. Ergo, I buy stocks. And my issue always with short selling, which is what was the genesis of this here, is short selling is me selling something I don't own. And I've always had a bit of an issue with that because I don't know about you, like you can't do it with anything else. I can't sell Jerry Miller a house that I actually don't own because then I have an incentive to make sure that the price of that house plummets before I actually deliver it to you. And the sad thing is short selling, it's okay apparently for people to sell stocks that they don't own to the tune of 140%. And that's really the key here. There were people shorting GameStop to an extent greater than the actual number of shares that there were of GameStop. And so the Reddit guys, these guys on Reddit, they looked at that and said, we can squeeze them. We can force them to have to cover their shorts, and there's not actually enough stock to do it. And for me, that's just as legitimate as a guy as a hedge fund selling a stock he doesn't own.
Agree.
Particularly, and remember, for it to be to the tune of 140%, that means there were hedge funds not only selling stock they didn't own, they were selling stock that they hadn't even borrowed yet.
Right.
Because 140%, that means there were naked short sellers, which means they sold this stock not knowing where they were going to find the shares to deliver. And for me, if you're going to take that bet, then you need to be willing to accept when somebody tries to squeeze you on the other side. And it doesn't matter if it's another hedge fund squeezing you or if it's the average investor who says, you know what, we're going to pile into this, squeeze them, maybe make some money. Maybe they were just doing it because I know a lot of them were just doing it to stick it to the hedge fund. But you know what? That's their prerogative. If it's a free and open market and you want to risk your money to try to squeeze a hedge fund, even if you don't think you're going to make a lot out of it, that's your right to do so.
I agree.
And I did have an issue with some of these things because there was going to be a massive squeeze on Friday. And the fact that they prevented buying on Wednesday and Thursday, I think prevented that squeeze from happening. So these hedge funds lost some billions, but they would have lost even more. And I think there's no way to look at it as other than covering for that, which is sad for me because I'm always encouraging people. There's a lot of people that don't like the markets and they're hesitant to invest because they think it's a game for rich people. And say, well, it's not for me. I'll just be cheated. And so a lot of us investment advisors put a lot of effort into educating people and making them feel like, no, you should be involved in this because it's good for you. You're participating in growth. And when things like this happen, unfortunately, it just reinforces the notion of this is a game for rich people. If I try to get involved, they'll cut me out. And so it undoes a lot of the good work of financial advisors who work with their clients and people who don't invest right now to get them to think about the future.
Okay, and I've been itching to talk about this with you and Xavier, your dad, for so long because this is what you guys do here. So let me throw this to you here. I agreed with 99.9% of everything you said. The 0.1% where maybe I did not agree with was at the last part, and I'm going to throw it to you. From my stand, you know, I'm a libertarian. You know, I'm a free market capitalist. I believe in the market. I believe in people can succeed and people can fail, okay? Robinhood was saying, and you're right, in the terms of service, Robinhood clearly says it can do this. So Robinhood was not breaking the rules. Anybody who signed up for a Robinhood account, when they clicked agree to term of service, literally gave Robinhood approval to shut down trading on certain positions in certain stocks. It's in the term of service. So here's the question I have for you. You were talking about protecting the retail investor so the retail investor doesn't get burned, which could drive the retail investor potentially out of the market if he or she does get burned in a scenario like this. From my standpoint, I think it should be you're going to win or you're going to lose, and let's just let the investors win and lose on their own.
Oh, no. So maybe we're misunderstanding, though. I'm talking about protecting them only in the sense of it's not the movement of GameStop that I think pushes people out of the market. It's when the brokerages respond by shutting down their trading.
Okay.
Okay,
I agree 100% with what you said then.
Yeah. When Wall Street takes moves like that, when it looks like retail investors are going to make hedge funds lose money, and then the appearance, which I know it was in Robinhood's contract, but the appearance is that Wall Street and the hedge fund stepped in and said, no, you can't do this.
Yeah, you're taking money away from us. You've turned the tables, and Wall Street and hedge funds were like, no, we want the edge, to your casino metaphor.
Exactly. And I think that kind of behavior from Wall Street is what turns people off, because then they feel like they can't get a fair shake in the markets. And I think that's a shame.
Okay, I agree 110% with what he said right then. All right, I 110% agree with everything he said. All right, then this is the final question. This Wall Street Bets Reddit forum, I think has like 10 million followers on it. And it's freaking growing every day. How does investing change if 10 million people are working in concert together to manipulate the market and stock prices? Because that's what they're doing.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think you have to split two things, which is investing as a long-term proposition and investing in things like GameStop. Like no one, if you're sitting there saying, I want to save for my retirement, you should not be just buying GameStop or buying cryptocurrencies or things like that. You should be in
diverse.
You should have a long-term view, ETFs, mutual funds, because you're betting on the growth. So I don't think that will change too much. I think that will still be a driver. And index funds, indexing is such a huge part of the industry now that I think that's not going to change. What I think will be interesting to see is how the regulators step in, because we know that they're looking at it, and my hope is that they continue to take a hands-off approach. And the reason I say this is there's a lot of leeway when it comes to people going on CNBC or on these financial channels and either pitching stocks they own or talking down stocks that they're short. And there's always a disclosure at the thing. But let's face it, a lot of people watching CNBC, you're not looking for the fine print or discounting everything that the guy is saying about this stock because you see that he's in on the stock. And I figure as long as the disclosure is made, that I'm doing this, and that for me, that's the key with the Reddit. That subreddit, at least what happened with GameStop, and I don't know everything about what else they are investing in. But there was no one on that forum saying, go buy GameStop, but I'm not doing it myself. Right? They were admitting, I'm involved in this, I want to do this for this express purpose. And for me, as long as the disclosure is there, then it's not violating, I don't see how it's violating any of the, there's a lot of names for pump and dump and pumping up a stock, getting out, letting it crash, which is it's falling today. As long as the disclosure is there, I don't see an issue with that because it's people coming together, and I think it will have some effect on individual stocks, but not necessarily more so than we've come to expect from celebrities. I mean, I think it was in January that Elon Musk, owner of Tesla, head of Tesla, he put on his little Twitter bio, use Signal.
Right.
In reference to a messaging app.
Right.
But people interpreted that as Signal, like a tech company, and loaded into that thing, and that thing shot up like 30% in a day.
He did the same thing with GameStop. I mean, I think he literally he tweeted the phrase "GameStonk," GAMSTONK, all one word, joking around, and everybody that follows Elon Musk is like, he's in. The owner of Chamath, and I always butcher his last name. He owns the Golden State Warriors. He did the same thing, and these celebrities were driving up the stock.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like if that's already happening. So it's not really, are we really in a new paradigm with, what's new is that it's retail investors on a Reddit forum that are driving it instead of a
hedge fund,
extremely wealthy individual who has a huge Twitter following.
Right.
And for me, that's the difference, because the effect is the same, that these stocks are extremely volatile and you're going to see a lot of volatility. And I think part of it is also, let's be real, this is a market, there's a huge market rally here, but for the last several years, it's been driven on what I think is on the lower side of volume in terms of the number of people actually in the market. So when that happens, you get volatile days like this. You get huge swings in certain stocks. So I think it's just, as an individual, you've got to be prepared for that. You have to be cautious. I mean, so let's face it, a lot of the guys doing this GameStop scheme, if you want to call it, but like the legitimate scheme, they understood that they might lose money.
Yeah.
They were trying to squeeze the hedge.
Some didn't even care and were doing it out of principle.
Exactly. So I think you have to sort of keep that in mind as an individual, that they always used to warn people when you talk about like the tech bubble back in 2000, when your friend comes to you and says you have to get into this stock.
It's a bubble.
That's when you know you're at the top. That's the top of the bubble. Right? So as an individual, you got to be cautious about that for yourself. I mean, if you're doing it out of principle and you want to just squeeze the hedge funds, that's fine if you're willing to lose that money. But as an individual, you got to be cautious. And what I always like to think of it is, always consider your investments as core and then opportunity. And take, if you want to take 2 to 4% of what you've got and do opportunity with it and say, hey, if I lose it, I lose it. But I'm betting on the next Microsoft or the next Apple or one of these GameStop plays or Bitcoin or doggy currency, however you want to call it. That's fine. The key is always not to mistake it for your actual long-term portfolio. That's where I see people go off the rails when it's like, oh, this is everything I have, I'm going to put it in cryptocurrency. It's like, no. Don't put everything you have in that. Just remember what's valuable in the long run. And if you think about it, it all comes down to what you care about personally, right? I mean, I think every one of us, even, no matter why we're investing, we're ultimately invested in the United States of America, right? Everything goes south for us if the United States as a country goes south. So you always want to be partially invested in the faith in your country. And so as long as you're doing that, I think you're going to be in good shape long term, because I do have faith.
Me too.
In the country long term. And then if you want to take those small pieces, that's fine, but don't put your full faith in cryptocurrencies going up to 20,000 or a stock that's on the decline suddenly returning from the dead. You can take those bets, but put most of your faith, I think, in the things that you would actually put your faith in real life, as well as in the stock market.
Hey, you killed it today. Alex is the CEO of Emergent Financial Services. He just crushed this interview. His show is called Today y Mañana. He does it with the affable, the likable, and the man who has a zest for life, Xavier Urpí. The dude just loves to live, Xavier does. And I love them both. We will see you Thursday, my friend. I'm looking forward to it.
Thursday, Tim.
So
it's going to be exciting.
Should I tell Judah no Skype test then, right?
No Skype
test, Judah.
Full time.
Yeah.
He's free of the Skype test.
Alex, he just went like this. Yes. You have a good one, homie.
You too, my
All
friend.
right, take care, Alex. Good stuff from Alex. Thursday at 10:15, Xavier and that man Alex, today y mañana on the I Love CVille Network. Good show. A couple more things I want to get off the plate. Judah, let's get the CAAR Q4 report on screen. This report, a reflection of the last 3 months of 2020. Some highlights from the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors Q4 2020 report. Sales are increasing in the CAAR area housing market with 1,278 total sales in the fourth quarter. That is a 23% jump year over year. Home prices increased across the market. The overall median sales price for Q4 was $348,000. Good night. $348,000. That's a 13% increase from 2019 Q4. Nearly $40,000 increase. It's pretty simple. It's supply and demand. You don't have a ton of inventory on the market. You have a lot of people who want to live in the area. Prices are going to go up. And that's exactly what's happening. We'll follow it closely on the program. Couple more items out of the notebook. Judah Wickhauer is our director. I want to highlight an entrepreneurial endeavor that I think is absolutely amazing, and it's what Harrison Keevil is doing. Harrison Keevil, his wife Jennifer, the owner of Keevil and Keevil. They also owned the restaurant at one time. Was it called Brookville Restaurant, Judah?
Yes.
Was it Brookville?
Yep.
You had to climb up the stairs. Are you sure it was Brookville?
Yeah.
They own Keevil and Keevil now. Anyway, long story short, you're right, it is Brookville. Good call, Judah. Good memory. Get it on screen, his digital food hall. I mean, how impressed are you with this? So Harrison Keevil has launched a digital food hall, a ghost kitchen concept. He has 5 brands: John Street Deli, Smash Bangers, Bowls and Skewers, Foul Mouth Chicken, and Got Baked Cookies. So it's a deli brand with some legit sandwiches. A Smash and Bangers brand. Smash and Bangers is probably what, sausage and potatoes, J-Dubs?
Bangers?
Yeah.
It's like British sausage.
Yeah. So like sausage and potatoes, right?
Yeah, something like that.
So you got a deli brand called John Street Deli, a Smash and Bangers brand, it's called Smash and Bangers, another brand called Bowls and Skewers, another brand called Foul Mouth Chicken, who's clearly chicken or fried chicken, and then your dessert brand, Got Baked Cookies. A play on cannabis and stoner food right there. So 5 brands out of the same kitchen. This is what we've been talking about for months on the I Love CVille show. The digital food hall and the ghost kitchen concept. This is what we've been talking about for months on the show. My man Harrison Keevil and his beautiful better half Jennifer Keevil, they're rolling it out. 5 different brands operating from the same kitchen. You cannot go in and sit down. You strictly order online. You either pick up curbside or they're delivered to you. Let's follow it closely and see the success of Charlottesville's newest digital food hall, Multiverse Kitchens, Harrison Keevil's brainchild. I respect the man for innovating and trying something. Frankly, I mean, I respect him for trying something in a pandemic. Props, Harrison. UVA, quickly. Wahoos are 14 in the AP poll, 15 in the coaches poll. UVA took a tough loss against Virginia Tech over the weekend. It was brutal. Didn't play well at all. You got to ask yourself this question. UVA men's basketball fans, the best team we've beaten this year is who? Georgia Tech? Right? Besides Georgia Tech, UVA has not beaten any good teams. Is this a Final Four team? Yes, we have the talent to be a Final Four team. But we don't have a marquee victory. Our best victory is beating the Yellow Jackets, who are 8-6 overall and 4-4 in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Virginia has got a half game lead over Virginia Tech in the ACC standings. We're still in the driver's seat to win the regular season title. But I would love to see this team get a couple of marquee victories. They got NC State on the docket at NC State in Raleigh Wednesday night, 9 o'clock tip. We'll watch that game closely. All right, we're out of here. Save $288 on Ting Fiber Internet through ilovecville.ting.com. ilovecville.ting.com. You get the best internet at the best price possible. This is the I Love CVille Show. For Judah Wickower, my name is Jerry Miller. Don't forget our 12-hour telethon on Friday, February 12th, the Charlottesville Affordable Housing Telethon, where we're going to try to raise $150,000, maybe $300,000. So if we can raise $300K, the Thomas Jefferson Community Land Trust can buy 2 pieces of property. $150K, they buy 1 piece of property. You do this, we literally create affordable housing for Charlottesville. February 12th, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., the Charlottesville Affordable Housing Telethon on the I Love CVille Network. Thank you kindly for joining us today on the show. You guys have a good afternoon. Take care.